welcome to the Sing Out Couch.
Thank you very much.
We've known each other for quite a few years now. We've both been playing music for at least 10 years, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's probably that and maybe even a couple more, so yeah.
Yeah, and what were your beginnings in music? Tell us where you started.
I think my beginnings in music were really just kind of listening to music in my room growing up, and it was a really sort of kind of private thing that I just really enjoyed, being able to kind of be in my room, block out the outside world, stand in front of my speakers and kind of blast my eardrums away. Unfortunately, I've now got tinnitus, and that was the beginnings of it. But yeah, and then sort of from enjoying music, started writing lyrics probably in my mid-teens. Lots of kind of really painful teen angsty kind of things, and sort of hoped that I'd be able to perhaps join a band or meet some collaborators or something where people could put music to the lyrics I'd come up with, but that never really worked out. I had a few short-lived projects, and then when I was 20, I decided, bugger it, I'm just going to have to do it myself. So I had a couple of guitar lessons and started actually writing songs myself, so sort of composing music to lyrics I already had. So that was sort of
I'm glad you did, because you've got one of the most beautiful voices. Now, you're one of Adelaide's few openly gay male singer-songwriters. Has it ever bothered you that your sexuality has been made so public?
No, not really. And I was sort of just thinking about this. It's not that it's ever really sort of been made public, or not that there's ever been any kind of grand statements made. I think we were talking about a couple of weeks ago the fact that it was more that I just started playing at feast events and it was just assumed, so there was never any press release or anything like that. It was just people just knew, and I didn't hide it. So I guess
so that assumption didn't bother you.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Great. So your song "Narrow Straits" that you're going to perform tonight was written when you were younger. Tell us about the song and how you view the song now, looking back on it.
Yeah, I guess I wrote it about 4 or 5 years ago, and looking back on it now, I really like it, because I feel like I very purely captured what I was feeling. I feel like it kind of cut right to the heart of the matter, and it's one of my favourites lyrically and melodically. I think melodically it's got a sort of just kind of it's annoyingly catchy in some ways. Like I kind of find that it's a tune that goes around my head perhaps more than some of my other songs, if you know what I mean.
Yes, warning, because when he recorded it in the studio, I did have it in my head for about a week. But so the song "Narrow Straits," when we were chatting in the studio, was about, I suppose, moving on quickly from one relationship to the next, and this sort of recklessness. And I wanted to ask you if you think that song reflects how life is for most young people.
Well, I think it really kind of captured perhaps the kind of restlessness of youth and early 20s and experimentation and all that kind of stuff. But really, for me, it was actually about, how can I put this, sometimes keeping on with a sort of token level of friendship with someone that you've broken up with, and that's sort of a bit of sort of self-protection there, because in some cases you might have actually wanted to, or I wanted to just kind of cut and run from things, but I also didn't want to feel like a bastard. So, sometimes there's that sort of token friendship thing as the relationship tails off and you kind of invite them to a party or something like that. So I guess it was me being kind of brutally honest about myself, and to me that's a really important element of songwriting. Perhaps facing some ugly truths about yourself and being kind of brave enough to put them out there, and maybe other people will be able to relate. But that's kind of what that's about.
So you work as a counsellor now and a social worker, is that right? You're still a musician, of course, but I wanted to know how common it is in your work to meet young gay men needing support in coming out.
Very, very common. I think it's, there's guys kind of coming out all the time and at various different places along that journey. Some young people need more help than others, and have different sort of support mechanisms and coping mechanisms. The level of support that's needed varies from person to person, and it's not always necessarily based on you know, how much support they've got around them. It's just a really individual journey, and it's all relative. So I hope that it will become less and less of an issue and a problem. Not that I want to do myself out of a job, but yeah.
And do you think that being gay yourself, you're able to help people on a maybe a different level, or dare I say it, a more intimate level? Not that I mean that literally, but because you've been there yourself.
Yeah, I think definitely the personal experience, even though the specifics are different, there's some kind of shared common understanding, and you're kind of in the ballpark, I suppose. You know, you may not know exactly where someone else has been, but you've got some feeling, I suppose. Yeah.
And I guess a deeper understanding in some ways of what people might have been going through.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, you know, and there's also, I guess, a sense of that, you know, I'm not sort of at the end of a journey. I'm sort of still on my way, and also still working through a lot of my own issues. That's kind of an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that acknowledgement as well. And
Yeah.
not coming from an expert place. It's just like I'm still wandering and blundering my way through, and myself.
Yeah.
So.
As most of us are,
Yeah.
with evolving in life. Well, let's hear your beautiful song. It's called Narrow Straits, and again, warning, this is a very catchy song.